incorporate more and more of them into the initiatives we have with some funding partners. So for example, there are plans to include organizations that focus on girls' education as local partners within the current Excellence in Education project that we're currently developing with the World Bank. And it's a big part of the strategy that we have to ensure that the local groups, specifically those who own girls' education, are a part of the partnership as we go about.
Okay. So what steps are being taken to address culture or traditional practices that hinder girls from attending school?
As a ministry, we're working with community actors, but also with political actors as well. You know, perhaps during the former president Shirley's time, that there have been some moratorium on when and at what time and how you can have these so-called push schools that prevent girls from going to school. So, as a government, we're working, or as a ministry, we're working with the Ministry of Internal Affairs to ensure that when schools are open, and the schedule for when our schools are open, are regularly announced. So when those schedules are known, so that the Internal Affairs Ministry can ensure that girls are not away at the same time that schools are open, in order to allow them to come in. And the kinds of community initiatives that work directly with local traditional leaders, just to make them to understand why and how, by getting girls into classrooms, how their villages and their family lives could potentially change, and to just cut back on some of the cultural stereotypes or other inhibitions that, do not allow girl children to go to school. And that has to be a partnership. It has to be a partnership between the ministry, it has to be a partnership between the government, but also the traditional leaders and the communities and families as well. Some families are very deep into their cultural adherence to some of these practices. It will take time to break some of them, but it has to be a partnership between all of them.
So what steps are being taken to address cultural or traditional practices we have already hit that? How is the government working to improve school infrastructure and resources in public, any other things?
Right. We do have some resources in this year's budget for infrastructure. So we are getting more schools. The actual physical environment is going to improve all of this budget. We do have resources that we expect from the World Bank, and a big component of the project under the World Bank will go towards physical infrastructure under component 2, which we call equal access to education for all. So part of that access is making sure that there are school infrastructure where there ought to be school infrastructure. Bapolu will definitely be a part. In fact, we're doing that across all of the 15 counties. And in addition to actually giving physical infrastructure, there is grant money also for renovation of existing infrastructure. So whether it be the roof or giving new classrooms, new chairs, blackboards, and windows, and those kinds of things. So yes, there is plan, and we're happy that there's some resources that will go into that, at least for 2025.
Good. That's good news. Now, how does the government monitor and evaluate the effectiveness of programs aimed at improving girls' education?
Right. That is one area of collaboration that we're still trying to work on. And remember, there are multiple layers of initiatives. Our partners are undertaking some of these initiatives independently. Sometimes they undertake these initiatives in partnership with us, but we ourselves have our own initiatives in foster girls' education. So in terms of monitoring and evaluating them, we do have a bureau or a division within the Department of Planning that monitors school performance, that monitors partnerships in terms of what did they say they would do, how much of that did they do, how much resources we can put into it, what are the effects, how can we measure long-term impact. I mean, there's room for improvement, of course, but our eyes are on that as a goal. And if we are to transform the sector, we have to understand, in fact, what is there, the state of affairs. And you can only do that when you are able to measure, to get accurate data, and to begin to see threats. It will take some time. I mean, like any social sector or sphere of society, it takes time to transform, to change. The education sector is not an exception. So we're looking for low-hanging fruits, but yes, it'll take some time to get some gains.
So, I want to talk about your long-term goals for girls' education in Papago, based on the fact that only 2% of girls graduate high school in Papago County. So, what strategies do you have in place?
Right. The one of the major problems that we have in our society is that students do not go to school at very early ages. So ECE enrollment, and ECE is early childhood education. ECE enrollment, which is nursery, kindergarten, 2, and even basic, which is grades 1 to 6. We are encouraging more and more students, and we're encouraging parents to ensure that kids go to school. Not only boys, but also girls, and at the appropriate ages. At the moment, one of the challenges we have is that many of our students are overaged across the grades. From 1st to 12th, most of the students are overaged. We have an accelerated learning program where if you're overage, we put you in certain classes, to accelerate your progress and get you to an age-appropriate grade. But as a ministry, as a long term, we want to make sure that from the very beginning, from ECE and basic, that Liberian kids do go to school. We are putting more money into the construction of ECE facilities, kindergarten, other facilities, because there are not a lot of them. You see a lot of them from the public school perspective, but from the private school perspective, but public schools you don't see a lot of ECE. So we're trying to put in more ECE facilities, and hopefully we can encourage parents to send their kids to school at appropriate ages, so that once they get started, they can flow through the system as opposed to having a girl child who has grown and doesn't have early foundations of education, wanting her to go at a later stage. All of those are discouragements to parents. You didn't start from the beginning. Now it seems like there's no point in starting at all. So once we get started, we hope we can begin to reverse some of those dismal and discouraging trends that you just cited.
Okay, so can we expect that the new ECE classrooms that you're about to build, can we expect to see real windows rather than only blocks?
I can say yes, because I am currently a part of the design for these infrastructures. The standard designs at the ministry actually do have proper windows, but sometimes people are trying to cut back costs to give more, and you see Columbus. Our technical people tell us that there are certain instances where Columbus may be better than other materials of windows, but there are in other instances where proper windows would be better. Whichever the case is, we want the best learning environment for our children. So yes, there will be ECE facilities where you will see proper windows.
And the rooms will be properly
yes, properly ventilated, light and everything. Some of these facilities are going to have solar panels for power. They're going to have digital laboratories. To the extent that the students can use them. At ECE, you might not have students using a computer. You might have a teacher who is delivering a lesson with the aid of computer, because these kids are relatively young at that age. Right. But yes, we do have digital. We do have digital services. We're hoping to improve digital services in the schools, and I can show you the facilities will be.
Yeah, well, we look forward to working
Yes,
with you.
we're working on that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hold that recording.
Hold on. You only put what you saw, right?